In 1990, Universal Pictures released a special logo celebrating their 75th anniversary. At 38 seconds long and featuring a beautiful score by the legendary composer James Horner, this is actually 4 logos in one. It's both a nostalgic look back at Universal's history and a triumphant debut for what was, at the time, their brand new logo. Today, I uncover the story behind this enduring classic. We're taking a deep dive into the Logoverse. Right off the bat, there's a bit of a mystery with this logo. Universal Pictures was founded all the way back in 1912, making them the oldest American film studio still in operation today. But that also means their 75th anniversary should have been in 1987, not 1990. So, why this weird discrepancy? Well, it turns out there is an answer. While Universal Pictures was founded in 1912, Universal City Studios wasn't founded until 1915. What's the difference? Well, Universal City Studios was the actual movie-making facility. Built on a 230-acre chicken ranch, it was often described as a city unto itself, consisting of multiple dressing rooms and sound stages, a cafeteria, film lab, even a hospital and sawmill. It's also the origin of Universal's iconic theme park. Owner and co-founder Carl Laemmle took the unusual step of allowing tourists to visit Universal City Studios. For the price of 25 cents, the everyday person was given a rare glimpse into the world of Hollywood film production. Of course, the decision to open the property to tourists led to Universal's world-famous studio tour. So, the 75th anniversary logo wasn't meant for the company as a whole, just for Universal City Studios. The 100-year anniversary is the exact opposite, celebrating when the company itself was originally founded. Why Universal has gone back and forth on this remains unclear, but at least there is an answer. The logo made its first theatrical appearance on May 25, 1990, with the release of Back to the Future 3. A year later, on April 26, 1991, A Kiss Before Dying was released, a thriller starring Sean Young and Matt Dillon, marking the final film to carry it. For me, my most vivid memories of seeing this logo come from 2 films. The first is the great comedy Kindergarten Cop. Yes, kids, that's a VHS tape. Well worn, as you can see. I watched this a ton growing up over the years. Of course, I've also updated to the DVD. The second film stars a pre-Schindler's List Liam Neeson as a scientist-turned-disfigured superhero in Sam Raimi's cult classic Darkman. Another VHS favorite. Also watched this a ton growing up over the years. I've also updated to the DVD and the Collector's Edition Blu-ray. Yes, I am a fan. Sam Raimi blazing a trail in the superhero genre a full decade before the first Spider-Man. So, let's move from a disfigured, revenge-seeking superhero to a psychotic killer doll. Say hello to Chucky, aka Charles Lee Ray, also known as the Lakeshore Strangler. This is the 7-movie collection. The 75th anniversary logo appears at the start of Child's Play 2, which a lot of fans consider one of their favorite Chucky movies, if not their favorite. Now, we can't forget the muscles from Brussels. That's right, JVC, Jean-Claude Van Damme. His film Lionheart was released by Universal in 1990. Although, if I'm being honest, I really got this DVD set for Hard Target and Sudden Death. As an action hero, those are really Van Damme's shining moments. Other films with the 75th anniversary logo include Jetsons the Movie, which I used to own on VHS and remember liking it pretty well, Problem Child, White Palace, King Ralph, Havana, Career Opportunities, the notoriously god-awful Ghost Dad, starring the notoriously god-awful Bill Cosby, and Henry and June, the first film to ever receive the notorious NC-17 rating. Now, as I said earlier, this is actually 4 logos in one, all pulled from different points in Universal's long history. Sources give conflicting information over the exact numbering. It's not as straightforward as saying this was Universal's first logo, this was Universal's second. It's very tangled, especially the farther back you go. Plus, there have been many small variations of each version, so that muddies the waters even more. I'm not going to worry too much about that. Again, different sources, different numbers. We'll keep it simple for the purposes of this video. So, with that out of the way, let's dig deeper into what just might be my favorite movie logo of all time. I love this opening. So whimsical and dreamlike. We begin with a rotating model of a cloudless Earth. The entire globe is set against a cloudy background, adding to the fairy tale quality. As the whir of an engine drones, we see an old-fashioned propeller airplane fly into view, circle the Earth, and wipe in the words, "A Universal Picture." The image of a tiny propeller airplane circling the whole planet, impossible except in the movies, only deepens the charm. This was Universal's 6th logo, running from 1927 to 1936. That blank space in the middle of the globe is the Pacific Ocean. The plane first enters flying over the islands of Indonesia. As the globe rotates, you can see the Korean Peninsula, Japan, Siberia, and parts of Alaska and California. About the airplane logo, if you're a fan of the classic Universal monster movies, then you're sure to recognize it from the opening of The Bride of Frankenstein, released in 1936. Back in the 90s, Universal re-released the classic monster films with great cover art like this. We transition to the next logo, a tilted Art Deco-style globe with rotating letters and surrounded by spinning, stylized, 5-pointed stars of various sizes. This is a nice contrast to the airplane logo. We cut from dreamlike and whimsical to big and glitzy. I can just see this appearing right before a slick musical or a sweeping historical epic. It really screams Golden Age Hollywood. This was Universal's 7th logo, premiering in 1936 and running until 1947. The spinning stars were filmed first, separately from the globe, which was actually made of glass. Designed by Universal's longtime art director Alexander Galitzin, this was a complicated logo to assemble, involving the use of plexiglass, multiple lighting sources, clever painting tricks, lots of editing passes, and even some rear screen projection. It took approximately 6 months to finish. Hard to imagine a movie studio today spending that kind of time and energy into getting their logo just right. You have to admire that kind of craftsmanship. The celebratory score that first accompanied this logo was composed by Jimmy McHugh, an acclaimed songwriter with over 500 titles to his credit. Sticking with the classic monster films, this logo appeared at the start of Frankenstein Meets the Wolfman, one of my absolute favorites. The first time Universal crossed over their famous monsters, but far from the last. We then leave the era of black and white behind. The next logo shown is in color, a big leap forward compared to the first two. As we move through space, a cloudless, rotating globe forms, surrounded by a pair of hazy, donut-shaped fields, which are the Van Allen radiation belts. Comprised of electrons and charged particles, the radiation belts were discovered in 1958, only 5 years before the creation of this logo. Like the globe, both radiation belts are also rotating. The word Universal appears along with the byline, an MCA company. This is Universal's 9th logo. It lasted from 1963 to 1989, an incredible 27 years, making it Universal's longest-running logo. Acclaimed artist Ivan Earle designed this one. Before tackling the Universal logo, he'd worked on the backgrounds for such Disney films as Peter Pan, Lady and the Tramp, and Sleeping Beauty. The globe is a clay ball hand-painted by Earle, who also painted the space background and the radiation belts. Jaws, Conan the Barbarian, and The Burbs are just a few of the many films to feature the 9th logo. Everything has been building up to this moment, the debut of the newly redesigned logo. With the sun shining just beyond the Earth, huge golden letters circle into view, sweeping to a stop and spelling out Universal. The byline, an MCA company, appears, and 75th anniversary is spelled across the top of the cloudless globe. Designed by the Chandler Group and Flip Your Lid Animation Studios, this was shown between 1991 and 1997, minus the 75th anniversary line, starting with Ron Howard's Backdraft and ending with McHale's Navy. Believe it or not, there's no CGI here. In fact, models were filmed using motion control cameras. The beautiful star field is a painting done by Erich von Schmidt, a prolific artist who has worked on a wide variety of projects, from special effects, cell animation, and advertising. It's impossible to discuss the legacy of this logo without talking about James Horner's absolutely brilliant fanfare. Stirring and heartfelt, his score here perfectly captures the power and magic of the movies. There are, of course, two versions, the longer one used in the 75th anniversary logo, and the slightly shorter version used between 91 and 97. Outside of the logo, we can thank James Horner for giving us some of the best movie scores ever composed. Star Trek: The Wrath of Khan, Aliens, Casper, Braveheart, Titanic, Avatar, and so many more. Tragically, James Horner died when the small plane he was piloting crashed in 2013. He was 61 years old. The movies just aren't the same without his endless talent. You know, aside from the nostalgia and James Horner's music, I think a big reason why I love this logo so much is because you get to see how a single image can survive across the decades, being recreated over and over again, yet still maintaining that same basic vision. No matter how many decades go by, no matter how many new designs come along, it's still that timeless image of planet Earth, which can only mean one thing: a universal picture. I'm Michael Cahill. Thanks so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe. And tell me about your memories of this logo in the comments below. Thanks again.